Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Content Supply Live. Today, we'll be diving into a couple of ads. The first is the Cheetos Other Hand font campaign, which is really interesting. The second is Instacart's iconic mascots 2025 Super Bowl commercial promo. The Super Bowl is happening this Sunday. It's a couple days before then, but they've released a 30-second promo, so we'll dive into that a little bit. And then we'll talk about the Pepsi challenge and how it's returning after 50 years of being away. So the first one is the Cheetos Other Hand font campaign. So I will share my screen and we will just go ahead and watch this campaign.
Designer typeface. You're designing a voice for a brand, and you have to know what that brand is before you even start designing. There's only one small problem when you're designing a Cheetos typeface. You got to use the other hand.
When we designed the Cheetos font, we looked at over 1,000 different hand-drawn fonts. We relied on intricate and curvaceous forms, just so we made sure we had a font that really broke the mold. After all, this is more than just a font. It's design in its purest form.
If you design the type right, it becomes very versatile. And you can use it for corporate communication, for booklets, for websites, for TikTok videos. It can be downloaded and used by anyone.
This isn't just going to change the world of design. It's going to change the world as we know it.
Okay.
Sorry, I think this is the funniest ad I've seen in years. This is a love letter to designers, in my opinion, that if you've ever tried to make a typeface, or if you use Illustrator or do design, or you've ever worked closely with a branding agency, you know how serious a lot of those things come from. And I love that they took that same tone, and the humor in it was they didn't back down from that, from that serious tone. But then, like, the guy holds up his hand with the Cheeto fingers and he has to make the type with his other hand. That is so freaking funny. I love that. And if you missed that, if you didn't understand that, that's the one potential with the short, and then you couldn't see it, the color grading a little bit. But when he picked up his hand and he was like, when you're making a typeface, you gotta use the other hand, because he had Cheeto dust on his other fingers. And so that's where this whole idea is coming from. It's like, eat with your dominant hand and write with the other one. And then the thing I think it's great. If you look on their Instagram from Cheetos, they have one that's like, I love graphic design. And it's like an old Microsoft Paint. You guys looking at it, you know the one I'm talking about. It's like this nasty gradient, and it doesn't even have the background removed from the Cheetos picture. And it has that shitty left-handed writing. I love it. So I honestly want to go buy Cheetos more because of how much time and attention they put in for that was a love letter to the designers of the world. So I appreciated that.
It worked on you. The ad worked, Brendan.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be honest, I didn't catch like the non-dominant hand thing, so I think I was a little bit confused. Maybe they could have played that up a little bit more, but I do think that the idea of the ad's so timely, because there's been a lot of company rebrands recently that I think people have been pretty up in arms about. Did you guys see the Jaguar rebrand? That one was wild.
That was piss poor. Such a bad execution.
Yes, and there's so many other companies that have. Another one is Crumble, that I can think of that have rebranded. And I think to the average consumer, what I think happens is, like, we in like the corporate world and the marketing world are always trying to establish top of mind to our clients, and we're always trying to improve on things that we've done in the past. But I think the average consumer doesn't always think about those things as seriously. And so when these rebrands happen, it's people, I think, are mad about the loss of like nostalgia that they feel for the way brands used to look and feel. And so I think that it's funny, like this Cheeto ad kind of plays on that. I'm not sure if that's exactly what they were going for, but I think there's been a lot of bad rebrands recently that
leaning into the idea of making a really bad rebrand, but then like making it funny about it. Yeah, it's
which
tasteful.
It
makes it tasteful, because they're not shooting down the fact that Jaguar shit the bed with their designers, but they like made a cooler, funny thing out of something that was done poorly.
And they did exactly what a rebrand was meant to do, which was like, I don't know, I think people do that to modernize their brand or make it top of mind to consumers, which Cheetos did, but they didn't, they did it.
It's not legit, right? This is a spoof. Like, this isn't going to be the real thing. They might run a couple bags with this on it, but I doubt that's going to be a long-term play.
Exactly. So I think genius on that front.
Yeah, I think this campaign, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but this TikToker that I followed like a while ago, her name is Emily Zugar. But her whole account is basically based off of creating terrible ads for companies. She has a degree in graphic design. So like she's obviously like a great graphic designer, and she's like showed a little bit of like her great graphic design skills. But she's also like made a following. Like she has millions and millions of followers that follow her just to see like her making fun of different brands. Like she's made like a logo redesign for like McDonald's, and then McDonald's has like commented on her account. I can't remember exactly. It was one of the NFL teams, but she created a logo redesign for them, and they actually ended up selling merch based off of it, which is kind of funny. I want to say it was like the Colts or something like that. Anyways, I just thought that it was really funny, and it's also just a great way to get eyes on your content in a funny way, like funny, not serious way. Yeah. I was reading on that Instagram post that we just watched. I was reading some of the comments, and I always love to like read the comments because there's just some people that just like don't get the joke. And there were so many comments that were like, I can't believe that they would create this font. Like this font looks terrible and stuff. And anyways, I just think it's interesting, like how so many people can miss the joke, but also it's just such a great branding strategy to do that. And obviously, like if you're looking at it like on a computer, like the video is a little bit smaller, so you can't see that like everybody's writing with their non-dominant hand. But if you were watching it like on Instagram Reels, then you could very easily see like, oh, that's the point of this is, they have Cheeto dust on their right hand, so they have to write with their left hand. So I just think that it was really smart.
People's media literacy is terrifying to me. Like not to hate on the older generations.
It's not just the older. It's not just the older. I will stand by this. I get lost in the comments sometimes. There's an old Winston Churchill quote that says, the best argument against democracy is 5 minutes with the average voter. What that means is if you talk to someone, if you want to know media literacy and you want to know how literate media people are in media, talk to the average person that consumes it. And it's low. It's
go on your
people don't
Facebook page.
Lazy learning. No one Googles anything. Yeah. They just, I saw this video and now I'm pissed off. Yes. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, think a step behind it. Like, just, it's like when people get hyper offended by comedians, and it's like, what are you hyper offended about? Like, did you see the reason behind that? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm off my high horse.
Well, I think that was really interesting. So we'll dive into our next video. This is an Instacart ad that will premiere technically at the Super Bowl on Sunday. But this is just a promo of the ad. And I think that it's great. It shows a lot of brands from most of our lives, which I think is really interesting too. So let's dive into that.
Release the hounds.
Puppy monkey baby.
Oh yeah. I'm on a porch.
Groceries are here.
Thanks, babe. You get the milk?
Get down. Take it to the house. Take it to the house.
Literally, love that. I love that so much.
That is genius.
Yes, yeah, no, I saw that and I was like, oh, this is so smart. Especially because of like the Instacart, like just the brand that they are. I mean, they deliver groceries, so they invited all of these characters from all of these brands where like people would get their groceries from, and I think that it's just really interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see like the rest of the Super Bowl ads this weekend. I don't know. What are your guys' like favorite ads to see during the Super Bowl?
I love funny ads, but I definitely, that's why I watch the Super Bowl, to be honest. Like I'm not there for this, not to be that guy. It's like, I'm not there for the sports, but I like football, but I'm not a avid follower. I mean, if the Chiefs pull out another win, I think that's like the most Super Bowl wins in a row ever. So that's kind of cool to have on the table. But other than that, like I love ads. Doritos ads are what I look forward to the most because I'm still 12 at heart, I think. But I just love the creative. Every Dorito ad, like almost every year, I'm a very big fan and excited to see. Also, the Bud Light ads with Shane Gillis and Post Malone, I'm very excited for those because I've been seeing the promo videos, the behind the scenes of the production that they did, and it looks like a lot of fun. And there too, I love Post Malone's music recently, and I'm going to see Shane Gillis with my buddies next month in Salt Lake. So, like, I'm super looking forward to that one personally.
That's fun. Yeah, I feel like the Super Bowl is like the Olympics for marketers and advertisers. It honestly is so entertaining to watch. But yeah, it is what makes it so fun to watch, I think, is just because like it gets kind of competitive. Like you kind of have to like out creative other brands if you're going to be a Super Bowl ad worth talking about, and if you're going to spend the money to be in that ad slot, you really have to like get super super creative and get people talking. And so I think people like let down their like corporate messaging and like really go all in on creativity. So that's what makes it so fun to watch for me, at least.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And with this video, like in general, what are some other brand mascots that like you think would make like a great comeback in like a Super Bowl commercial or just like a YouTube ad or just anything in general?
A lot of them were in that, where like the Kool-Aid Man, Mr. Clean. You had the Green Giant from the Green Beans that I remember growing up. That was kind of a funny one. Baby Puppy Monkey. Did I see that? Do you guys remember that one?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Baby Puppy Monkey. It was some sort of weird Super Bowl ad. I can't remember what it was for, but that was in the very first scene for the first 2 seconds. So there's a ton of like old Super Bowl ad call outs. Chester Cheetah from Cheetos was there. You guys saw that too.
Mm-hmm.
Also the hot dogs. There was a dachshund. I don't know what that's from though. It's like Oscar Mayer.
I'm not sure. Is that from like Frank's hot dogs? I don't know. Yeah.
But I don't know. When you talk about like the best ones to make a comeback, I don't know of any that I'm like missing too much because I feel like a lot of them squeeze their way in other types of media. So that's where I'm at. I don't really know if there's one that's particular that I'm like super stoked about because I like to see if I'll recognize whatever gets shown to me. Trying to see how much nostalgia they play on of stuff we grew up watching.
All right. So our next topic today is the Pepsi challenge and how it is returning after like 50 years of being away. I'm not sure if either of you are familiar with the Pepsi challenge. But basically what they've done is they've focused on like a blind taste test between Pepsi Zero Sugar and Coke Zero Sugar. And just to really see like if people can actually tell the difference between Pepsi and Coke, because all of these people say that they can, but can they actually really tell the difference? And I think that this was brought into effect because Costco, I'm an avid like Costco shopper, they're going from Pepsi products to Coke products. And a lot of people are like really happy about it. And Pepsi's like, why, like, what's wrong with our product? Like it's basically the same as Coke. So I think that that's kind of where this is coming from. I don't know. What do you guys think about this campaign in general?
I think that's an interesting like avenue to take if you're like trying to prove to everyone that you are the exact same as your competitor, which I guess in this case it makes sense because I think Coca-Cola is like a much more beloved brand than Pepsi is. But it's kind of an interesting avenue to take. I wonder, I thought I had seen some ads of like the blind taste test and people were just deciding which one they liked better. And maybe that would be, if that's the direction they're going, I think that would be super effective. But yeah, it is funny. I've seen people do like the Coke and versus Pepsi challenge, and it's like even the most avid Coke drinkers cannot tell the difference, which is funny when it's like a completely blind test. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what this looks like coming up.
Yeah, I personally like Pepsi better. I drink Coke more, but I like the Pepsi Zero versus Coke Zero. Pepsi Zero's got I don't know, they've dialed in the aspartame chemicals a lot better. It's got a better aftertaste, so I personally like that more. I'm ambivalent on whether Costco, if I really care if they're Coke or Pepsi. The only thing that sucks is, Mountain Dew's better than Mellow Yellow, so I gotta You got to deal with that. So, you'll miss Mountain Dew at the Costco line. But other than that, for the most part, when you have brands that are this large, trying to compete in that way is just different ways to PR. Both brands help each other grow at this point. They've had these Halloween ads for years where one's like, everybody's trying to be the hero, and it's a Pepsi can that's got a Coca-Cola cape. And then it's like, then Pepsi took that and said, no, everybody wants to dress spooky for Halloween sometimes. And they took the exact same image. And so they always are playing off each other, but blindfold tasting is always a good idea. I think it's a great way to like, okay, which one's better? Then you have like instant social proof to see like, what do you think? And then it also builds the idea, oh, I want to do that too. And then they'll go buy it that way to just do the challenge. So I don't see any downsides to it. It is kind of an old playbook. It's nothing new other than the product, the zeros. But that's my thoughts on it. I do think it's wise, but it's very much you pull this out of your 1986 playbook for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Well, if anybody is interested in doing a DIY Pepsi challenge, kits are available on Pepsi.com. They're also going to be doing it at like the Super Bowl this week, which I thought was interesting too. So, and there's going to be giveaways. I read online that if you participate in like the DIY challenge, then you can get a free Pepsi. So there you go. If you want a free $2 bottle of Pepsi, then participate in this DIY Pepsi challenge and see if you can really tell the difference between Pepsi Zero and Coke Zero. All right. Well, that is today's episode of Content Supply Live. Do you agree with our takes? What did you think of the ads and campaigns that we shared with you today? Let us know in the comments below, and we will talk to you next time.